in Victoria, and I love my topic today. Your work, your life, keeping a healthy balance. And I am really, really excited about this topic, and I think this is probably a topic we could talk about once a month because it seems like we're just constantly trying to find that balance. So I really encourage you guys to unmute yourself and participate in this presentation because I believe that we could all learn from each other. So the purpose of this presentation is to explore work-life conflict. Notice I said conflict, not balance, and its impact on employees' lives. And the goal is to implement at least one health promoting strategy to lower work-life conflict in the next 3 months. This presentation targets any worker who is paid or volunteers outside the home. And as you know, sometimes our volunteer commitments can really become overwhelming at times. Okay, so far so good. Let's keep going. I have a personal story for you. This is Amanda. She's a mother of twin boys. Can you imagine? She's also a full-time scientist for a federal government agency. Amanda's story about work-life conflict is typical for many working mothers. Her testimony captures the struggles of employees who juggle work and life demands. This is what she says. Having kids can be an identity crisis. I was an all-in scientist and couldn't fathom how I would give up an ounce of being a scientist. But then the boys were born at the same time. Yes, twins. Nothing has been as ever going to be the same again. It took a long time, maybe 2 to 3 years to accept this ideal fully and get comfortable with my new dual role as a scientist and a mom. It probably seems like it shouldn't have taken that long, but I was really sleep deprived, which brings me to my first point on how to balance being a new parent and keeping up with a career. Sleep deprivation is not something to take lightly, and it can have a big impact on our processing speed. There are days when you can do more and some when you can do less. This is probably universal true for all parents. For me, I found that the tired days were a good time to do the more mundane tasks like credit card logs, booking travel, trainings on PowerPoint. It's better and less frustrating to save things like crunching numbers or creating writing for the days that you got a good night's sleep. I'm also the queen of lists, says my husband. I keep weekly to-do lists of everything I need to do and everything I want to accomplish. And it even includes go-to easy healthy meals and entering to-dos on my calendar. I get multiple reminders so I see it coming. This helps me stay organized and on top of little things. I've also learned that whenever possible, it's good to get those little things done ahead of time. Speaking of teleworking, and we all had a taste of that during COVID, right? It's probably one of the most important benefits of my job and probably has saved my career. As federal employees, we are very privileged to have this option. Early on, after returning from maternity leave, work from home allowed me to stay close to my young ones and transition back slowly. Even now that they are in preschool, I appreciate the benefits of days when someone is sick, me included, that I can work at home. Most of the time, I can squeeze in a half day or spread my hours over non-9 to 5 hours and get what needs to be done. Lastly, one of the biggest changes I have to maintain work-life balance was to reduce travel. Because of the additional strains on my family, as well as my stress, I'm very careful about what I commit to and only attend a few long-distance meetings. I undoubtedly miss some opportunities, but for now, it is really important that I spend time at home and reach my personal goals and keep everybody at home happy. Now, here's a question for you guys. How do you know your work life is out of balance? And I'm going to give you a few seconds to think of that. But what are some signs that you know maybe that your personal work life is out of balance?
When I reach for my computer on my days off, I'm working from home and I find myself going to my computer to check on my emails and things that I shouldn't be doing.
It's hard to disconnect, and the internet allows us to do everything at home from now. Yeah, that's tough.
And Gail, Jessica said you're getting sick. Chanel says frequent headaches. And Anonymous says she gets snappy with her husband.
And all of those are true. All of those are true. Yes, and you're going to love this presentation. You guys are going to love this because we're going to talk about some of those things. So balancing work, personal and family responsibilities may seem impossible. You may think that you have to choose one area of life to focus on. However, life consists of career, family, friends, health, leisure, community service, and many more areas. It's a sum of who you are. You cannot separate those parts. Work can bring personal satisfaction, financial benefits, and improved self-worth. Striving for work-life balance may not be the end goal, but rather integrating and aligning all these multiple tasks. In this talk, 3 work-life balance quotes will be shared to inspire you. After each quote is read, I'll give you a brief time so that you can write them down. But here's the first one. Work, love, and play are the great balance wheels of man's being. Work, love, and play. And I love that. You know, we have to work hard, play hard, because if you don't, I don't think you'll find that balance in life. Okay, everybody got that down? Okay, let's talk about work-life conflict. Conflict. Are you truly able to achieve a healthy balance between work and life roles, or is it a myth? Most of us have work and personal life duties. Work can be for pay or volunteering. In all probability, these 2 main areas of life cannot be separated. The clash between work and personal roles sets the stage for negative outcomes, particularly in the physical and mental health areas. The term work-life conflict refers to the instances in which workers find that their work obligations and non-work obligations must be fulfilled within the same time period. Okay, your work and your non-work, you're trying to do them both during the same time. Work-life conflict has been called other names too, such as work-life balance, work-family conflict, work-life fit. All of these terms describe the phenomenon because it is commonly used in this field. For this talk, work-life conflict will be described as the stress we experience in our life roles. Work-life balance are the ongoing lifestyle changes we make to help reduce that stress. Okay, so that's the key point to this presentation. Work-life conflict is the stress that we experience, and work-life balance that's the changes we make to reduce that stress. Negative spillover. Work-life conflict is also referred to as negative spillover. There are 2 domains of work-life conflict: work to live, live to work. Negative spillover can occur in both directions, with work-family conflict being the most common. Work and family roles are 2 important life areas. Conflict between a person's multiple roles, such as being a worker, a parent, a spouse, are unavoidable. Also, the consequences for the person and employer are unavoidable. For example, if we have a family crisis that requires us to miss work, then our job duties may suffer, which spills over into our worker role. So here's a question. Here's a question that you need to think about. Do you find yourself letting work-life spill over into your personal life? If so, which example fits you? And I'm going to read the screen. Working longer hours for extended days, weeks, months. Working longer hours than needed in order to meet business goals. Skipping personal commitments to fulfill work duties. And working during times that weren't planned work. So this is negative spillover. And I know that we've all experienced that. Here's more. How about working while sick? During the pandemic, we're really discouraging people to not go to work if you're sick. Stay home. How about failing to use a lot of paid time off? Taking vacation days, but then spending those days connected to work. Or like they said a while ago, on the weekend, grabbing your computer and checking email, which we're all guilty of. Non-work times interrupted by work communication. Oh, how many times have you maybe been at a child's sporting event and took a phone call, or you're going into an award ceremony and you get a phone call and you take it, or even just check a text, or maybe you're sitting at the dinner table and you get one of those calls and you're inclined to check it. And I call that negative spillover. Time at work. How much time are we spending at work? The time we spend at work is one piece of work-life conflict that we should consider when trying to balance our lives. There was a time when the boundaries between work and life were clear. Today, the lines are blurred because work is likely to invade your personal life because of technology. On average, U.S. employees in private, not farm, industry work 34.4 hours weekly. Full-time employed persons in the U.S. average 8.5 hours work time on the weekdays and 5.4 on the weekends if they work. Most of this time is spent working in the workplace rather than at home. Technology innovation, social media, and 24/7 internet access makes it difficult to turn off work. With an increasing global corporate culture and technological advances that allow us to stay connected all the time, our time has become stretched by job and life demands. Here's some more. Time at work. This is interesting. In 2018, the U.S. averaged more annual hours worked per worker than the industrial nations such as Canada, Germany, and the UK. So US 1786 hours, Canada 1708, the UK 1538, and Germany 1363. So it's clear that the US is working more hours. You also have to consider commute time. Commuting to work adds to time spent during your workday. If you include your daily commute, you may find that this may be another area that interferes with your family life. It can also be another source of stress, especially if your travel involves rush hour traffic. In the US, the average one-way commute to work is 26 minutes. However, for larger metropolitan areas, the travel time ranges from 31 to 38. Okay, this is another good slide. The changing workforce. And I know you guys you realize this, but between 1948 and 2015, the proportion of women in the U.S. workforce has grown dramatically from 28% to 46%. In 1948, there were 17 million women working compared to 46 million men. Fast forward to 2015, these numbers have risen for women 73 million and men 83 million. This growth in the population of women joining the labor force is due in part to the women's equality movement and in part to the stagnating wages. This social shift has radically changed the landscape of family life. The traditional model where one spouse, the unpaid female, stays at home and the other spouse, the male, is the worker, is now outdated. The old way of family life has replaced with the new normal, where women are not shut out of the workforce. Men versus women. When comparing gender differences in time spent at work, employed men work 34 minutes per day more than employed women. The difference partly reflects women's greater likelihood of working part-time. These differences may also be explained by the time spent for women doing household activities and childcare responsibilities. For example, a woman is less likely to who has children, has to leave at 5 to pick up her children from daycare. As part of this new mix of gender equality, shifting roles, expectations, and the scarcity of family time, many men and women are required to find new ways to balance their work and family life. Working parents are faced with challenges that strain family life. Households where parents are dual income earners have become less child-centered and more work-centered. The work-centered viewpoint focuses more on gaining self-worth from work roles than life roles. Society's expectations shape how men and women manage the boundary between work and family. Men tend to, and you see the different boxes, men tend to segment or compartmentalize work, where women integrate the roles. These differences are thought to stem from social expectations. And then I just put a note in here that women are always, I feel like, always multitasking. We are always trying to balance the family and the work. And I wanted to take a minute and just talk about the fact that it's okay for us to go through HEB and pick up the prepackaged salads or the fruit that's already cut up. I'm a strong believer in convenience, especially if we're trying to work and we're still trying to put a healthy, nutritious meal on the table, that those things are okay, and we should not feel guilty about that. Employed women rarely see themselves as working for the family the way men do. They tend to focus on how important it is for their children, particularly their daughters, to see them as competent professionals. Another social viewpoint is that women are expected to identify more with the family role, which means spending more time engaging in household activities. How about caring for children? Juggling work and childcare responsibilities is a source of work-life conflict. Social role expectations create conflict for working men and women. Spending more time with family is challenging for working parents. They often feel guilt, and there's a lot of times that women feel guilt about mothering. Are they spending enough time with their children? Adults living in household, this is an interesting statistic. Adults living in households with children under the age of 6 spend an average of 2.1 hours per day providing primary care. In households where the child was between the ages of 6 and 17, the older children, adults spent less than half as much time providing, 50 minutes per day. 50 minutes per day, wow. The time demands for childcare are greater for women. Role expectations create different types of work-family conflict for men and women. Women typically devote more time to household work and childcare responsibility, which results in less personal time and, as we all know, more stress. On an average day, women with children under the age 6 spend only 1.1 hours providing physical care. By contrast, men spent 26 minutes providing physical care for children, the younger children. When considering household work, on an average day, women spent 2.6 hours on these activities, while men spent 2 hours. It's important that when you do go to work, that you work in a family-friendly environment. Support from your employer may be needed to address your work-life conflict. Most work sites strive to create a healthy work culture by assisting employees with family life matters. While work-life policies vary greatly across U.S. work sites, most offer some type of support. Family-friendly policies may include family leave time for childbirth, parenting, caring for an ill or elderly relative. Some support may be dependent care benefits, including child care. And the other one is flexible work arrangements, such as job sharing, part-time work, or flexible work hours or days. Okay, have you ever heard this? I can't take a vacation. I can't get away. 52% of U.S. workers are not using their vacation time. 52%. And some of the reasons they give, and think about your own personal situation, but some of the reasons other people give: my pet, logistical hassles of traveling, and that's probably true during the pandemic. Another reason, security and safety concerns traveling. That's especially true this year. The cost of traveling. And then they have a child or they have children, and they could use that for an excuse not to take a vacation. Some negative effects of not taking a vacation, though, on your physical health could be high blood pressure, obesity, high cholesterol, lower physical energy. And on your mental health, how about emotional exhaustion, depression and anxiety, substance abuse, poor sleep and sleep habits. So we need to take our vacation, guys. So finding the right balance, work-life balance. It does not mean that every part's going to be equal, okay? And it will vary over time, and it may vary even on a daily basis. There's no perfect one-size-fits-all balance that you should be striving for. Satisfaction with your entire life includes personal and work. So here's a quote. Here's the next quote, and I like this. We need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list. I'm going to read that one more time. We need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list. Would you guys agree to that? And it seems like, especially mothers, we always put ourselves last, right? Find time to relax. Taking time to relax is key to achieving work-life balance. Every day we have to find time to relax. Isn't that interesting? On an average day, nearly all Americans age 15 and over engage in some sort of leisure, and that might include watching TV, socializing, exercising. Men spend 49 minutes per day more in these activities than women. Keeping socially connected is also important for our emotional health. Following leisure activity, socializing and communicating was the next most common activity among Americans, averaging 38 minutes per day. Okay, did you hear that? Socializing, calling a friend. That is a type of relaxation. And I like that. And especially during the pandemic, it was so important that we socialize. Socializing includes visiting with friends, calling a relative, hosting social events, attending social events. There's a whole list of, and again, that is included in leisure time, which is part of relaxation for us. So at this time, I want you guys to share with me, and I want you to share an example of how you take time to relax, because this is so important. And what changes do you make? What changes do you make in work and family commitments to allow time to relax? So tell me how you relax.
You're asking such a hard question.
I know, and sometimes I think I go weeks without relaxing.
So in the chat, we have yoga, we have fishing, going walks as a family, try to spend a little time outside each day. All great points, great ways to relax. Spending time with your pets.
Wonderful.
In the garden.
You know, and research shows that sometimes, like household chores, they're always going to be there. If your son wants to do something with you, or your daughter wants to, or your husband, your spouse wants to do something, the laundry can wait. The laundry can wait. The dishes can wait.
And Jessica made a point, which is so true, and I think we all have a problem with this, is the difficult part is making the time for it. I think we've got to create a habit for ourselves to do that in order for us to make it happen. But yes, it's very hard.
That's exactly right, because we're not going to find that work-life balance if we don't find some time to relax. The three truths about work-life balance. And I love this. Life happens. Even if you're a very dedicated employee, you may have your work priorities all set, but there's no way to avoid maybe a sudden illness or death in the family. People tend to ignore work-life balance until something bad happens. This disregard is a choice, but not a wise one. It is important to maintain a healthy work-life balance as part of your well-being routine. The second one is define your path to success. If your quest for work-life balance in your quest for a work-life balance, reflect on what personal and professional success actually means to you. At the core of work-life balance is seeking success through personal fulfillment and purpose in life, and that includes work and family. And the last one I love, don't try to do it alone. No one can do it alone. Of the many paths to success, none can be walked alone. A support network is critical both at and outside work. Family and friends are needed when we face difficult decisions, and they keep us accountable to make the right choices. Okay, I see I have 2 minutes left, and there was a handout that was emailed to you, but it's the 3-step plan, and you have to answer these questions, and you rank it from 1 to 5. 5 being the almost always. So you prefer, the goal is to have a small score. If you have a high score on these, if you score yourself high on these, then you really want to examine how you're living your life and possibly make some changes and set a strategy for obtaining a better balance. Okay, so the first one is, how often, did y'all get this in your email?
Yes.
Okay, good. How often does your work keep you from spending the amount of time you would like with family and friends? And the second question, how often does your work interfere with your responsibilities outside of work? And the third one, how often does your work interfere with your ability to develop or maintain connections with friendships in your community? Okay, so the next step is you're going to think about your time. So what you're going to think about is what things I need to say no to. What could I have said no to last week? If I was stressed, if you were stressed last week, what could you have said no to? So think about that. And then what things I need to say yes to achieve more balance. And then step 3 is, what will you do to improve your balance? My last slide, remember, it's your work, it's your life, and it really is our responsibility to maintain balance. I know, and I know it is hard to say no sometimes, but I think we would be happier in the end if we sometimes could say no to request. So, are there any comments or questions? Here's the last quote. Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. I feel like today, everyone knows this topic, and we just constantly need to be reminded, though, that we need to find a better work-life balance and try to identify those things that cause work-life conflict and understand that it's okay to say no every now and then. Okay, that's all I have, and I think we're right on time. Thank you for joining us today. And next week, Denise Gable is going to be leading the Health Talk Express.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Please do your survey, your post surveys if you can. The link was at the top, and it should be mailed to you, the post link. If you've gone to 3 classes, we'd love to have your opinions. Thanks.
Good job, Gail.
Thank you, Denise. The script was very long.
Yeah, they do tend to get long, but it's good information. There's always some good highlight points that are good reminders for us to be mindful of taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was a good point that the one lady made, that you know, it's hard to make the time. It is. It's hard to make time.
Oh, I know. It is hard to make the time. Yeah. Yeah, I could hear this presentation every day. I need to be reminded every day.
Yeah, I kept hearing Denise talk to me on this one. It's like, huh, Denise is just telling me stuff like that.
I keep telling Karen she's got to take time for herself.
Oh, yes.
But I didn't hear the whole program, though. I got distracted with some stuff I had to get done. I'm bad. Sorry.
Hey, well, I'm telling you, I can't wait to do that one in person.
Yep.
Because I want to see people's faces and I really want to interact with them. So I cannot wait to do that one in person.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you, Karen.
Yep.
Forcing my hand.
Okay. Yep, I know. I know, Denise. I hear what you're saying.
It takes time, dear. It takes time. Old habits are hard to break.
Okay, well, thank you guys. We got one more. I'll be on next week too. And so, and I'll, since our internet's still down, if you know, I guess Boogie said she'd be doing that other, she'd send out the links for the videos. So we're good.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Okay, talk to you guys later.
Y'all have a great day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Y'all take